All right. So we were reading about Brahmarandra last week, right? So just wanted to show you some one of the books where some of these sketches are given. And those of you who have been to the Chennai ashram, on the back on the wall, you will see a picture like this. It is basically how the entire, I mean, this basically gives some certain diagrams on how we should be looking at this whole picture of the 13 knots. And if you see here, this is where the 11th knot starts and the 12th and the 13th, right? So if you look at this corresponding diagram here, you see here is the Brahmanandra. This is the 12th point. This is the 11th. So many people have not seen the 12th point because after 11th, through the Brahmarandra, their soul have escaped. So 12th, 13th was not accessible at all. So a caliber teacher, guru, guide has to lift us up from the 11th and put it on the 12th point. Okay. So this is where the Brahmanandra is. And this is the Satyapad, the the highest point which is shown in our emblem. I think it is given here. You see that Satyapad at the top, right? And then after that, 12th, you will enter the central region. Okay. So this gives a nice sketch to explain. So here it represents it nicely. See, from the head to toe. By definition, Babaji's definition of the heart is head to toe. It's not the heart where we feel as the physical heart. So that means basically the consciousness is all pervading. And the heart is not limited to the physical, I mean, the physical location. And when this heart from the head to toe expands, it expands into the universe. So the entire universe becomes one heart. Entire existence become one heart. Okay. Any comments, questions? So we did talk about Brahmarandra, and then when you are at the 12th chakra, the natural urge for the soul will be to leave the body. So then this is where the guru takes over like a mother kangaroo and carries her joy. The guru carries the Abhyasi to the central region, the 13th chakra. In one of the many innovations in the heartfulness way, the guru guides the Abhyasi's consciousness beyond Brahmarandra and facilitates its entry into central region. So this marks one's entry into a hallowed grounds of the center. So much awaits the Abhyasi there in what is the largest region of all. So central region is the largest region of all because there is so much journey happens in central region. So the nature's gate, Satyapad. So before the Guru take you from the region of the absolute to the central region, there is a gate that needs to pass, that needs to pass through. This gate is called the path of the truth, Satyapad. Satya means the truth, Pad means the path. So it is called Satyapad, the path of the truth. Only those whose I, me, myself have transformed into thee and thou. So we have been talking about in our last sessions about this identity of the self. So today we have many identities, and layered identities. As these identities are dissolving, the only identity which remains is that higher essence, the higher essence within. Like in some of the spiritual practices, this question, inquiry, self-inquiry, who am I? We can ask that question eternally, who am I? It only gives you the answer where your awareness can take you. Just because you are asking this question, the greater question, who am I, doesn't mean it take you to the essence. It takes you to this thee and thou. Because your awareness doesn't permit. When I say your, I mean not yours, I mean all our awareness doesn't permit. You see? So only by crossing all these dimensions, what we are calling these points, at the point, at the almost at the Satyapad, the pinnacle point, we develop this idea of thee, means there all identities have dissolved. At that point, when you ask, who am I? It actually should not give you any answer because thee becomes a universal identity. A universal identity cannot claim any identity. So it's basically identity less. That's when you can say, I'm there. Even Jesus claims this at this highest level. He says, I am the truth. He's able to say it because he's able to feel it. And his I am is not referring to himself, but he's referring to the Father in the heaven, the greater God. So that's why all these things are there in every religion. We don't want to see the essence, we want to see the power. Why power? Because we want that power to help us with our mundane day to day issues. Oh, my boss is angry with me. God, make sure my boss is not angry. My wife is angry with me. God, make sure my wife is not angry. And that's how we are using God. But when we reach these higher states, we can feel the statement when Jesus said, I am the truth. We can recognize, realize, cognize these higher states, these higher statements. So today we just aggrandize and we kind of create a grandeur picture of these highest masters like Jesus or Babuji or whoever. But we don't want to recognize them. Don't want to realize them. So the spiritual practice is kind of developing that identity where we feel those statements. Okay. So, I mean, in fact, once you cross this even Satyapad, there is nothing you can say. That's why Babuji said, when I speak, I don't know if I am speaking or Lalaji, my guru my master is speaking. So that is, it's not a statement. It is not his devotion speaking. It is a state speaking. because he cannot cognize his identity anymore. He can only relate himself with the higher identity. You see that? So it's important to, I mean, at least theoretically understand what this means, right? And when we reach there, obviously, we have nothing much to say. So, most of all, it's a check to ensure the ego is entirely sublimated into humility. So, now we have to understand this term, what this humility really means. Humility is not about bowing down to something or someone. Humility is not about, being congenial to everyone, appealing to everyone. That's not humility. Humility, I mean, the way I understood is we recognize the entity before us as is without any judgments. So when we recognize that I'm not greater than the entity before me or lesser than the entity before me, I'm totally accepting the entity in whatever form or shape or character. Then I will be able to treat with utmost respect whoever comes in front of me without any judgment. That is humility. It's basically recognizing the entity before me as is without any judgment. And how do you recognize the entity before you as is? Depending on our awareness state, you know. So a thief thinks everyone he meets is a thief because that's the awareness of the thief. A spiritual person thinks everyone is spiritual, whomever they meet, because that's their awareness. So the humility is also kind of directly proportional to your idea of identity, your I-ness. So as this I-ness is sublimated, then ego is entirely sublimated, then all that you can express is only humility. So humility cannot be, you cannot pretend to be you cannot pretend to be humble. It's a natural state. So this is not a judgment of your inherent worthiness. You are and always were one with the center, but rather a vital support to ensure you are ready for the voyage ahead into the immensity of the central region. So, here are some hints to give you an idea of people who cross the path of the truth, people who are at the level no longer love. Their love is not a verb anymore, they become love. They're no longer humble, humility is their real nature. See, their hearts are filled with childlike innocence. So, like Jesus says, be like little children. This is exactly what it is. So, such people are like candles that gently illuminate everything around them and are consumed in the process. So, to you, their actions may seem like a sacrifice, but to them, it is just how they are. Such people have achieved what they need to achieve in their lives. So, the inner transformation is complete. Love is their only discipline. Like the sun shines for one and all, like the flower that releases the fragrance for the breeze to carry, such individuals embody love. So, in the company of such people, we forget our worries and are lifted into a state of bliss. The path of truth is wide open for such a heart, and the Guru joyfully carries such beautiful flower into the celestial golden fields. See, I mean, one sort of an idea, concept I stumbled upon, and this has been going on for like about 3, 4 years. For some reason, unfortunately, I would say, we are thinking that being on the spiritual path means getting rid of all negative qualities. Then the focus shifts to negative qualities. Or if I go in front of the master, a guru, here it says forget worries. And if this, I take it to the heart and go in front of these higher uh, evolved people to get rid of my worries, I'm kind of lowering myself too low. Because we are always thinking, unless I get rid of these negative qualities, the higher essence, spirituality, the truth is not available for me. Unless I beg forgiveness for my sins, it is not possible. Unless I stop sinning, it is not possible. So we kind of creating a barrier for ourselves in the approach of spirituality. And I have given this example so many times, I don't remember in past 3, 4 years. You enter the dark room. Will you wait for the darkness to go away so that you can turn on the light switch? Or you just turn on the light switch? So the process of spirituality is like that. Turn on the light switch. Don't worry about all the darkness. Don't worry about all the negative qualities. Don't worry about what I'm not capable of. Just turn on the switch and the light comes in. So, by our own inhibitions, by our own ideologies, concepts, we are stopping this light from entering into us. We're not allowing it. See, Babaji said the only qualification in spirituality is willingness. From the get go, I mean, we are practicing meditation, we are doing cleaning, all this stuff, but we are assuming just because I'm practicing meditation, I'm willing. Yes, Cliff, go ahead.
So, if we what you if I interpret what you're saying is that if you don't go in with any kind of agenda saying I want to be all positive, no negative, whatever,
Yeah.
okay, and you aspire to be in touch with your higher inner essence, the truth, things negativity doesn't go away, but it's more in balance with everything else. It's just a side effect. Is that what you're saying?
So eventually, like here, all this dissolution starts to happen if I'm allowing it. Okay, so whether it's a side effect or a main effect, at least my dissolution has begun if I'm willing. Otherwise, I'm practicing with my own ideas, or I'm practicing meditation, and we always treat meditation as a what you call getaway from my uh, day-to-day life. I mean, we treat that as an escape route. As long as it's an escape route, we are not willing. So when we are willing, it doesn't matter what I am, what I am not. When I'm allowing that light, the transmission to enter, it starts dissolving everything which is not conducive for my spiritual progress. By itself, I don't have to do anything about it. All that I have to do is subject to myself to this light. Just like when you turn on the light switch, the darkness goes away in the room. Where is the barrier between the light and the darkness? When the light is there, darkness is absent. When darkness is there, light is absent. or absence of light is darkness, you can say. So here also the same thing. Once we allow the light to flow in, all those negative qualities will dissolve as I'm allowing it. If I can allow everything in one go, it will happen in a second. But it is very difficult because that negativity has become my identity. Oh, I am a sinner. That's my identity. I cannot let go. Even I am begging for forgiveness, I am not letting go my identity. What is asking for forgiveness? I have to let go that identity that I am a sinner. So who
Well,
has
then Christianity, they start off with saying, I am a sinner. So then they can never let go, you're saying.
yes, as long as you cannot let go any identity for that matter. I'm just giving you this as an example. I'm not really trying to point at any religion, but I'm just using this as an example. As long as I am this, it's very difficult to let go that identity. So we have to understand what we are doing, why we are doing, and are we getting rid of the identity or are we. So, and again, getting rid of the identity is also a negative idea. I'm evolving to the higher identity is a positive idea. So, I'm always looking at what I have to become rather than what I am getting rid of. So, as I'm looking at the higher, all the lower aspects are dissolving automatically. But I'm not looking at the higher to dissolve the lower aspects. I'm looking at the higher for the sake of higher. So that's the attitude. If I can bring and work on it, then I'm willing. Just because we are practicing meditation doesn't mean I am willing. Okay. So what happens? I beg for forgiveness in front of the Lord, and I'll be doing again the same thing next week and the next week. Nothing has changed. Then what is the value of that forgiveness I'm asking for? So these are the important aspects we have to understand and bring that attitude into our practice. The practice is always for the higher sake, not to get rid of anything, not to become a superhuman being or anything of that sort. Even dissolving the identities is a process we are explaining, but we are not doing it for that. We're always doing it for the sake of the higher. So if I'm turning on the switch to get rid of the darkness, that's not the right attitude. I'm turning on the switch for the light is the right attitude. Then the true willingness happens, my spirituality begins. Okay. So I'll stop here for any further comments or questions. All right. So, Keshri, now you are the host.